Next person is Chair Beiter-Fluhr.
Thank you. I've been on City Council representing Ward 3 for 9 years now, and I've been the Mayor Pro Tem for 3 years. I'm running for mayor because I love this city and I love being useful to my community. I strongly believe in teamwork, and I've seen us accomplish great things when council works as a team. As a mayor, I want to keep this city on course to steadily improve. I have quite an interesting background, I think, so I wrote a lot about it. I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter, though. I grew up as an Army brat. I lived in many states besides Colorado, and I mostly grew up in Germany, and that's where I met my husband, Troy, at an American high school in Germany. I studied international politics and German studies for my undergrad degree, and at the time, my aspiration was to work for the State Department. We moved to Colorado in 1996 for me to attend the Graduate School of International Studies at the University of Denver. So after I graduated there, I applied at various federal agencies, but after a year of job hunting to no avail, I took a temporary position at the phone company, and that temporary position has led me into an 18-year career as a sales and use tax manager. Troy and I bought our home here in Sheridan in 2004, and shortly after that, I got my master's in accounting and a master's in business administration in 2007. We have 3 sons now. Our oldest is 12, and the twins are 7. All 3 of them receive some level of special services at their public schools, so I've become more involved in special education and aware and empathetic to people with special needs. In closing, I'd like to say I don't have the longest history in Sheridan, but I have been many places, and we've made Sheridan our home by choice. I also want to thank Roger Rowland, Clark Bond, and Chris Calderon for setting up this forum, and I'm so glad to have this opportunity to speak to you tonight about becoming your next mayor. My primary goal in running for mayor is to protect and maintain the $31 million infrastructure investment we're putting into our roads, bridges, sidewalks, drainage throughout the city, otherwise known as our infrastructure. Infrastructure truly impacts people's lives. If you put yourselves in the shoes of someone in our community who relies on a wheelchair to get around, and imagine you head out your door, down to the sidewalk, and the sidewalk looks great by your house. You go down the block to the next intersection, and the sidewalk ends there. And you look across the street, and there's no sidewalk on the other side, so what do you do now? So this is a picture of how infrastructure can impose impossible obstacles on outdoor activities, especially for our most vulnerable residents. While we're doing amazing work with our current infrastructure project, we must do more. Keeping our infrastructure sound means setting up a pavement management plan, which details out when we expect to next work on each part of that infrastructure. And that plan should also allow flexibility to adjust to forces that are outside of our control or unexpected events like utility work or grant opportunity. We should also keep in mind during our planning and projects the principle of universal design, which states that the environment should be able to be accessed, understood, and used to the greatest extent possible by all people, regardless of their age, size, ability, or disability. I'll keep on top of this planning process and how we'll fund our maintenance once that $31 million is spent. My second goal as mayor is to build on and encourage greater partnerships between all organizations that are active in Sheridan, as well as seek to bring in additional partners who can do good work here. We're fortunate to have seen an uptick in new nonprofits and community organizations involved in Sheridan, such as the Colorado Trust and Habitat for Humanity. In addition to these new partnerships, I would also work on maintaining and strengthening our long-standing relationships with organizations like the school district and South Suburban Parks and Recreation. I believe my long tenure on city council and good personal relationships with people in those organizations are additional reasons I would be a good mayor. I also value the diversity of experiences and backgrounds these partnerships can bring. When we pool our resources, we can take on great challenges, such as issues of equity, community engagement, and inclusion. Finally, my third goal is to continue to improve Sheridan's financial strength. I don't know if you're aware of how bad it got for the city government during the Great Recession. I'm proud to have been on council through that extremely difficult time and to have been a part of the team that guided the city out stronger than ever. As a certified public accountant, I believe I bring valuable expertise on finances, budgets, and taxes that you otherwise will not see represented on city council or in the mayor's office. I will watch over your money. This education, plus my years of experience in reviewing governmental accounts, are crucial skills I hope you'll want to retain in your leadership. Thank you.
The City Council has three primary functions: passing ordinances, adopting city policies, and approving an annual budget. What changes or improvements would you support in any of these areas?
I'd like to start with improvements on our process for adopting city policies. I believe we should review our policies more often. I'd like to set up a schedule where council can review several policies a year so they don't get stale, and so council understands what those policies are. We recently encountered what I would consider a stale policy when we were reviewing the city fee schedule. We found there was a $250 fee for a permit for a block party. And I did some research, and that's way out of line with our neighboring communities. So especially considering we want to encourage people to get to know each other and to build community, it was a ridiculous amount. So we eliminated that fee, and we're going to be reviewing that policy on block parties. I feel like a reasonable goal might be to try to review each policy every 4 years. That way it would give most council members a chance to review each policy during their term. Next, regarding our process to approve an annual budget. I really believe this is an area where the city staff does a great job of providing the information we need to make good decisions. The only suggestion I have would be to keep aiming for a closer alignment of the budget to our goals. We should review our goals throughout the budget process and several times a year to see if we're on track. I just want to address the concern about whether we have enough rainy day fund. We've been building fund balance consistently for a number of years now, and we have a very healthy fund balance, and there's also a mandated taper reserve that's included in our budget. So we have quite a bit of cushion, and you don't want to have too much cushion because then you're not accomplishing your policy goals. Finally, in regard to our legislative process, I'd like to see greater transparency to the public. In this information age, we should publish our council packets online so the public can be as informed before the meetings as we are. An idea I had a while ago and I would like to see implemented is to broadcast our work sessions and council meetings on the internet. We could do this at a very low cost. Finally, as mayor, I'll encourage council members to express the reasoning behind their votes so the public can better understand their thought process. People who haven't been present in all the meetings might not understand the reasons behind how we vote. Thank you. All of us received these questions almost 2 weeks ago, and I have to say the question took me by surprise. I did some research because I know all the work that council's put in over an extended period to reduce turnover in the police department and throughout our city staff. So I got a few statistics from Chief Campbell on the topic. In the last 5 years, we've averaged 1.2 separations per year going to other agencies. That's about 3.4% of the police force a year. If we include statistics for separations for personal or for performance issues, the total turnover comes up to 10% of the police force a year. So let's compare that to some other small police departments. I found a few figures. In California, small departments average about 11.2% turnover. In North Carolina, municipal officers turnover at a rate of 14.2%. In Vermont, the turnover was 19.9%. Our statistics indicate we have a moderate level of turnover and that we lose very few officers now to other agencies. From what I've read about small police departments and from talking with the chief, I believe that when officers leave now, as other folks have mentioned, it's because of the lack of opportunity for career advancement in a small department. So what can we do if we want to encourage employees to stay on? In relation to the police department specifically, the ways we can influence that are hiring of the chief, compensation, and policy direction. So when we bring on a new chief, we put in a lot of effort to make sure that he or she is a good fit for the city. And what I hope that allows the chief to do in turn is also find officers who are a good fit for us and likely to stick around. Compensation is the most direct way we can impact turnover. Twice in the last 4 years, the city's conducted a compensation study to ensure we pay all our employees competitively compared to those agencies that might also like to hire them. We increased police pay after each study was completed. The city also cut the amount employees have to pay into their health insurance to bring that more in line with the competition. Finally, the mayor can impact turnover by setting policy direction along with the council. The council considers recommendations from the chief as the most important input into policymaking. The chief is the expert in the field. That's why he's in that position. So we review those recommendations to see if they fit with the vision of council for public safety in Sheridan. Just as an example, the chief recommended we start a capital plan beginning in 2011 to keep our officers well equipped with gear, training, and vehicles. And the capital plan allows us to know what costs to expect every year and to keep everything up to date. Another thing I want to mention is I want to encourage you all to vote
15
yes
seconds.
on issue 2A, because that tax will only apply to marijuana purchasers and the money will go to fund our public safety. Thank you.